Om. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada. Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada. Samasta Janakalyani Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Satgurum Brahma Vidparam Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Paramananda Madhavam Paramananda Madhavam. Okay, wonderful. So let's read what we covered last time. So we will read from verse 21 to 25. Yadyadacharati shreshtaha tattadevetaro janaha sayat pramanam kurute lokastad anuvartate name parthasti kartavyam trishu lokeshu kinchana nanavaptamavaptavyam varta eva cha karmani Yadi hyaham navarteyam chatu karmanyatandritaha mama vartmanu vartante manushya partha sarvashaha utsideyurime lokaha nakuryam karma chedaham sankarasya cha kartasyam upahanyami maf prajaha Saktah karmanya vidvamsaha yatha kurvanti bharata kuryad vidvams tatha saktaha chikirshur loka sangraham. Okay, so where we are now is in chapter 3 of Bhagavad Gita, Karma Yoga. And Lord Krishna is trying to tell Arjuna why he should perform Karma Yoga. And he gave him many, many reasons, such that we were created with the spirit of yajna, of the 5 yajnas. We are part of this cosmic chain. And there are people who are exempt from the cosmic chain. They're Atmarati, Atma Tushtaha, Atma Triptaha. Those people are exempt from the cosmic chain. But Arjuna, unfortunately, you're not there yet. And therefore, please perform Karma Yoga. Then he tells Arjuna in verse 21 that you are also a Shreshta person. Means one who's held in respect and honor by other people. So when somebody holds such a position, they have a dharma. They have a certain dharma to society to be a role model as well. They have to perform their duties so well that they are considered a role model. And so Arjuna, you are a Shreshta person. You are someone that people hold in high regard and people look up to you. And people who are Shreshta, people look to them for guidance. And when we don't know what to do, we always look at the lives of great people and say, oh, what did they do when this happened to them? And that's what we end up doing. And so because of that, because you're in such a position, then you should do what's right. Do that which is dharma. We have to teach people to act in the field, not by telling them, but by leading, by example. So Arjuna might question Sri Krishna. Okay, you're telling me all of this, but show me life. And so Sri Krishna tells him in verse 22, Arjuna, I am there. I am in the category of Atmarati, Atmatushtaha, Atmatriptaha. I'm in that category. And also I'm in the category of Shreshta. He doesn't say this in he's not saying this, but this is implied because he says, there's nothing for me to do in this world. There's nothing for me to achieve. There's nothing that I need to do to complete me. But yet I act. He said, there's nothing in the three worlds that haven't been done by me. But yet I engage myself in action. Why? Sri Krishna says in verse 23, because he's aware of his avatara. And he says, if I don't engage in action, then everybody would follow my path and relax and not act. If I just abstained from action, everybody would abstain from it. And so therefore, I am in such a position where I am also acting. So therefore, you are in that same position. So you also act. You are in a similar position. And so then, he says, Lord Krishna says in 24, if I didn't perform, the worlds would perish and people would be confused. People would be confused because someone who's a Kshatriya is not doing their Kshatriya dharma. So then it's okay. It's okay to leave everything. So people would be confused. So he says then, Arjuna, so act. And there's a difference between how the wise people act and how the ignorant people act. The wise people act out of fulfillment. They're already complete inside. It's just their natural expression. And whatever their natural expression is, it just comes out. It's not got any ulterior motive, or they want to become something or become someone. It's just that it just comes out. And then that's just the way it is. Right? It's their natural expression. For Puja Gurudev, sharing this knowledge just came out of him. It came out. It's like Goddess Saraswati's words just came out. And so, but when the ignorant ones act, when we act, we're trying to gain something. We're trying to become something, be someone. So they might look like they're doing the same action, but really the attitude of the wise is quite different. I remember this one example of Gurudev comes to mind when he was once in a yajna. And, Gurudev would say, Sri Krishna said this, Sri Krishna said that. And so one man in the middle of the yajna, he stood up. He just stood up. And, with Gurudev's yajnas, nobody moves. Nobody moves. Everybody has to come on time and the doors are locked. That's it. There's no noise. There were no cell phones at that time, thank God. No noise, no nothing. And, if at all someone would come late, he would stare them down. So much so that they would never, ever want to come late again, because he was a very, very disciplined person. So this man stood up in the middle of the yajna. I mean, just like that. And you can imagine everyone was just looking and saying, what's this guy doing? And this man stands up and he says, I don't want to know what Sri Krishna says. I want to know what Chinmayananda says. And he just says that. And Gurudev was there on stage. He says, if you want to know what Swami Chinmayananda says, there will just be silence. And he kept quiet for some time. So his message to us was he's just an instrument of God. Our words were just flowing through him. So for a wise person, all of this acting is acting. All of this acting, it's acting. And it's so natural. And it's done out of joy. It's done out of completion. And that's why there is a sense of relaxation. And we'll also see, more of what that means today. But for someone who is ignorant, there is that sense of, I need to get this, or I need to fulfill this, or I need to complete this. There is this sense of needing that. And because of that, there's extra stress, extra pressure, and extra tension. Though they may look like they're doing the same action, and they may both look like they're both really into it, but there's a difference in the attitude. So now, now Lord Krishna told Arjuna, everyone's acting. So you too act, don't run away. And now he says, and Lord Krishna says, now to somebody, let's say someone who's acting, a wise person who's acting in society out of fulfillment, Lord Krishna gives a word of caution, or rather a verse of caution to those who are acting out of wisdom. And this is a very beautiful verse that anybody who's in any field can take up. It's a very nice one. So we'll read now verse 26. Na buddhi bhedam janayet. So Padmini ji, read it.
Buddhi bhedam janayet.
Ajnanam karma sanginam.
Ajnanam karma sanginam.
Joshayet sarva karmani.
Joshayet sarva karmani.
Vidvan yukta samacharan.
Vidwan yukta samacharan.
Na buddhi bhedam janayet. Ajnanam karma sanginam. Joshayet sarva karmani. Vidvan yukta samacharan. So here, what it says, na buddhi bhedam janayet. So oftentimes you'll hear this quoted in some places. I'll say, na buddhi bhedam janayet. Buddhi bhedam means unsettlement in people's minds. Na janayet means one should not produce unsettlement in people's minds. Who are these people? Ajnanam karma sangina. Those ignorant here means those who are in the field of action. Joshayet sarva karmani. Instead, joshayet, engage them, sarva karmani, in all actions. And who should do that? Vidvan, the wise person, yuktaha, the one who remains balanced, samacharan, the one who remains balanced while performing it, should engage them. So, let no wise person unsettle the minds of ignorant people who are attached to action. They should engage them in all actions and themselves fulfilling them with devotion. So what does this mean? It means that there are different kinds of students. In Vedanta, in life, there are different kinds of students. And when it comes to this life of renunciation, of physical sannyas and all of that, when it comes to this message of truth that you are Atma, you are that untouched, you are uncontactable, you are unaffected. When it comes to these messages, Sri Krishna says, don't unsettle people with all these messages. See where they're at in their lives, and according to where they are, that's the message that we give them. We cannot share what we know, but we can share what's required to be known by that person. Because if we just share to share knowledge and exhibit what we know, then what happens is it's not touching the hearts of people and they cannot use it to change. So all they're hearing are these words and they feel like it's so impractical. How am I going to do this in my life? This is great. It sounds good, but I'm not qualified for this. I can't do this right now. So in this verse, Shri Krishna is saying, whatever the person requires, that's what we should give. And Gurudev gives a very brilliant example here. He says, let's say we belong to a society where, people are running. They are running, but they are running in a direction which will cause them danger. So just imagine that you have a bunch of people who are running towards the end of a cliff, but they don't know that it's the end of the cliff. Now, what do? Let's say you're there and you know that they're running towards a cliff. What would you do? So if we just stand there, we'll get toppled over. We'll get toppled over. They probably won't even see us because there's so many of them and they'll just topple us over. So what do we have to do? We have to run with them in the wrong direction. We have to run with them in the wrong direction. Run with them in the wrong direction and slowly pick up the pace and lead them. And without them knowing, slowly turn the direction. Turn the direction away from that cliff. So much so, they were running towards Bhoga. But because somebody came there and ran in front of them and turned, now they're running towards yoga. And they don't even know it. So he says, anyone that works in this kind of field, where we have to lead people and guide people and take them on, first see where they are at. First see where they are at. And sometimes we have to go in their direction. We cannot go to the highest knowledge. We have to go in the direction that is required for them. So, for example, a child will have a very different requirement, a different need. So we cannot tell all children, maybe very few, we could say you are Atma, like maybe Shankaracharya ji. But for children, it's a very different way of speaking. We have to say, take God, bring God in your heart and chant the name of God. And for youth, it's a very different ballgame also. It's all about dynamic activity and projects and engaging them and making them, putting them in the field of karma yoga. And for the grahastas, it's also different, right? For the grahastas, the teaching is given. You are that self, you are that Atman, you are that pure awareness. But the teaching for grahastas is not leave your home. The teaching for grahastas is you belong to your home. You take everyone with you. Don't leave. Take everybody with you. That's the teaching. Yearn for the truth. Earn the truth. Live the truth. Know the truth. So much so that your life is so inspiring that you take your whole family with you. And this is how saints are born. People like Adi Shankaracharya, he was not born to normal parents. He was born to parents who did intense austerity and tapasya. To those kinds of parents, a saint is born. To saintly parents, a saint is born. And so therefore, for grahastas, the teaching is stay home. Stay home. But in staying home, you take everybody with you by your example. And then, of course, the teaching to Vanaprastha is slightly different. That stay home, but now make your home your own mandir, your own temple, and spend more time alone. Spend more time in contemplating in the self, because your duties of raising and rearing children are over. So now you can spend a little bit more time in contemplation and make your home a vana. Nobody needs to go to the forest. Make your home a vana. That's what's to do. And of course, those who are on that path of sannyasa, then the instruction for them will be very different. The instruction for them will be, you leave everything. Because they're on that path where they have come to a point where they have no longer any responsibilities, or they have the blessings of their family members, so that they can live a life of solitude. So for every state, the teaching is different. So when we read any scripture, we cannot say, yes, this is what it is. This is what it is, but for who? I remember I was speaking to someone in the Ramana Maharshiji ashram, and he said, Bhagavan's instructions are all right, but you have to see who it's for. And I said, that's very true. Because for some, Bhagavan Ramana Maharshiji would be very, very straight and say, go to the source of everything. Who am I? But for others, Bhagavan Ramana Maharshiji would say, okay, chant this Gayatri Mantra. So he said, everything is right, but we just have to see for whom he's addressing. And that's why when the question comes between, should we go by Shastra or Guru? Shastra is very valuable because it gives us instructions of how to live life. But Guru will tell us how to live your life. But that's the beauty of Guru. Guru knows us where we're at and says, now this instruction is for you. So in this verse, na buddhi bhedam janayet means those who are not ready to be shaken, let's not shake them. No need to shake them. They're not ready to be shaken. But let them engage in karma, and we also should engage. We also should engage with them. We also should say, yes, this is the way to God. This is the way to live a life of dharma. And that's how a whole society is uplifted. So the same instruction cannot be given to everybody. Just like the doctor will not give the same medicine to everybody. And when I was thinking about this a little bit more, I was thinking about Swami Chinmayananda, Puja Gurudev, how beautiful he's led us. We all know Vedanta is about pure consciousness, awareness, etc. But even still, he made sure that even if we had these study groups, prescribed study groups, and prescribed texts that tell us who we are, he still made sure that people maintain a temple. He still made sure that there was some connection to God, because he knew that this is not easy. This is not something that's going to just dawn on us right away. So those who are not ready to be shaken up, the wise or those who are in certain positions should just not shake people. Let them do what they do and meet them at their level. Meet them where they are at. Because there's also a beauty to where they are at. The way in which they seek God, they love God, there's a beauty in that. One more example that I'll give you is that recently Swami Mitranandaji and Swami Swatmanandaji went on Narmada Parikrama. So I was watching, their experiences. And they said when they were doing the Narmada Parikrama, they met such lovely people. Such lovely people. There was this person who was doing the Parikrama, and it's thousands of kilometers. And he would do Dandavat Namaskara. He would walk a few steps and he would do Dandavat Namaskara. And he would do that for the protection of cows and young girls. And so that's a spirit that, wow, that's so beautiful in itself. There are people who, go with their families. There are people who are singing bhajans. There are children who also, come in the roads. I mean, there's a beauty at everybody's level. So we don't have to shake anyone up. Vedanta is not that. the way for us to inspire is just to live it. Then everybody will be inspired, but not to force it. So, na buddhi bhedam janayet. Don't unsettle the minds of people who are still in the realm of action. That's all of us. We're still in the realm of action. But instead, joshayet sarva karmani, engage them fully. And you also participate in it. Vidvan yukta samacharan. So now, I will just read to you now Gurudev's commentary on page 65 of my book. It's the last paragraph for this verse. Similarly, man should act even if he is acting in the wrong direction, because only through action can he come to the right path of diviner activities and gain the fulfillment of his perfection. No wise man should unsettle his generation's firm faith in action. He must himself diligently perform the ordinary actions in a diviner and better fashion. And he must make himself an example to the world, so that the lesser folk may automatically imitate him and learn to follow his infallible footsteps. So that's what he says. Now, one might wonder, why is Lord Krishna giving this advice? And Bhagavan Krishna is giving this advice because, again, Karma Yoga, Sankhya Yoga, they are the twofold path. They are distinct from each other. One cannot just jump to Sankhya Yoga. There's a transition. There's a transition. And so because there's such stark differences here, you can't just go one to the other. It's got to flow. And so he's going to show us now what is that difference between the Karma Yoga path and the Sankhya Yoga path. So here first we'll see the Karma Yoga path, the one who is who's slowly learning. This is verse number 27. Prakrite kriyamanani.
Prakrite kriyamanani.
Gunai karmani sarvashah.
Gunai karmani sarvashah.
Ahankara vimudhatma.
Ahankara vimudhatma.
Kartahamiti manyate.
Kartahamiti manyate.
Prakrite kriyamanani. Gunai karmani sarvashah. Ahankara vimudhatma. Kartahamiti manyate. So here, prakritehe, of nature, kriyamanani, those that are performed, karmani, those actions which are performed, gunehi, by the qualities of nature, sarvashaha, in all cases, ahankara vimudhatma, the one whose mind is deluded by egoism. Atma here doesn't mean self, it means the mind deluded by egoism. Karta aham iti manyate, that person, I think that I'm a doer. So all actions are performed in all cases merely by the qualities in nature. He whose mind is deluded by egoism thinks, I am the doer. So what happens here? So first, let's take a look at this. Now, the word guna here doesn't mean directly sattva, rajas, tamas. The word guna here means karya karana sanghata, which means our upadis, our bodies, our minds, our intellects, our sense organs. These are conditionings. So these conditionings, they perform the actions. And these conditionings are of prakriti, right? They are of sattva, rajas, and tamas. We all know from earlier texts of Vedanta. This from this predominantly sattvic guna, what happens or what comes about is, of course, the mind, intellect, equipment, and then also the organs of knowledge and the organs of knowledge rather, that comes out of sattva. Predominantly rajasic guna, the organs of action or faculties of action, and the pranas. The predominantly tamasic guna, what comes out is the body, this physical body. So we know that this body, these sense organs, the mind, intellect, equipment, all of these are made of sattva, rajas, tamas. So guna here means these upadis, which are made of sattva, rajas, tamas. And these upadis, conditionings, they're the ones performing action. What do we mean? They're the ones performing action. So here it is the eye. The eyes have a function of seeing. So the eyes see. The ears have a function of hearing. So the ears hear. Nose has a function of smelling. So nose smells, etc. Mind has a function of thinking. So mind thinks. It's its function, right? The intellect has the function of judging, of discerning. It does that. The body has a function of being able to walk, to sit, etc. The pranas have their own function. So everything, all these equipments, these faculties, these instruments, they have their own functions. And they are engaging in their functions. All of them, sarvashaha, all of them are engaging in their functions all day long. That's all they do. So, but this person, ahankara vimudhatma, the mind that's vimudha, deluded by egoism. Egoism here means identification. The mind that's identifying with this because of ignorance thinks kartaham, I am the doer. I am the seer. I am the hearer and the smeller, the taster, the toucher, the feeler. Thinks that I am the one doing this. Ahankara or ego means aham karoti iti ahankara. The one who does the I, the one who stamps the I. This is the body. It does what it does. I stamp, I am the body. This is the mind. It thinks certain thoughts. I am this mind. These are the hands. It does certain things. I am these hands. So it stamps the I on everything. And that's called the ego or the ahankara. And so when an ignorant person pursues the field of action, they feel they're the doer. They're the doer. They're the enjoyer. They're the knower. They're everything. And because of that, there's always a sense of incompleteness. So first, let me show you this. I'll just refresh your memory with this BMI chart so that we get a very clear understanding of this ego. So here now we have Om, which is supreme consciousness, right? This is who we are, pure consciousness. What's happening every day is under the vasanas, under our own, we all have our own nature, our own prakriti, our vasanas. The body is perceiving objects. So with the body, you take the sense organs, etc. The body is doing that. The mind is feeling emotions. The mind is doing that. And the intellect is thinking thoughts, thinking so many different thoughts. The intellect's doing that. And so every day, this movement is going on. Body's doing what it does, mind does what it does, intellect does what it does, guided by the vasanas. And this play goes on and on and on. In the light of consciousness. Consciousness is here because in the light of consciousness, this play goes on. There's no problem. The problem is when the body perceives objects, if I put a stamp there and say, I'm the perceiver. When the mind feels emotions and I put a stamp, I say, I am the feeler. And when the intellect thinks thoughts. And I say, I am the thinker. When I put these I stamps here, I become the perceiver, feeler, thinker, ego. This is the problem. There's no problem with anything else. This is the problem. That I stamp is the problem. Why is this I stamp a problem? Because the minute it identifies with the body and feels like it's the body, our natural inclination is to make the body as perfect as we can. That's our natural inclination. Why? Because perfection is our nature. We are in our nature, in our truest nature as Atman, we are unlimited, we are perfect. As Atman, we are unlimited, we are perfect. Because perfection and unlimitedness or infinitude is our nature, we automatically strive to make this body the best body possible. And like I said in the beginning, this is a good pursuit. But the body cannot reach perfection because it is imperfect. It is imperfect in itself. So it cannot reach perfection. It is imperfect. It is imperfect. Why is it imperfect? Because it's in the realm of sattva, rajas, tamas. As long as anything is in the realm of the gunas, it's imperfect. The gunas, one will come up, one will go down, and that's just the way it is. Then we identify with the mind and we'll want to make our minds perfect. The whole struggle will be like, let me make the mind perfect. Let me try to make it as unlimited as I can. And that in the beginning is very good. All these things in the beginning is very good. But when one reaches up to a certain point, then one has to go beyond that mind. So then, and when I think I am the intellect, I become that thinker. Then I want to become the best thinker possible, right? And so I will do all kinds of things to become the best thinker. But all of these, when I want to become or have the best body and mind and intellect, as I said, in the beginning, it can be okay. But after some time, people become self-obsessed and they chase comforts, they chase luxury, chase name, fame, and money, and all of that, that they forget what the very purpose of life is. So people then become obsessed in their own images. This is our individual image. This is our personality. People become obsessed with themselves. And they want to make themselves a great, amazing personality. When in fact, in Vedanta, the whole purpose is to lose ourselves. So that's how one can get bound in this. So thinking that we are the body, mind, intellect, thinking that we are these upadis, engaging in various karmas, then we feel like I am the doer, I am the enjoyer, I am the knower, I am the feeler and taster. This will bring us bondage. If it can give spurts of happiness, but it can also lead us to bondage. Okay, so where would the guna fit on the BMI chart? Okay, that's a good question. We'll get back here. So the guna, so in this verse, the word guna refers here to the BMI. So in this verse, when it says the gunas of Prakriti, right? The gunas of Prakriti, it means the body, mind, intellect, because they're made of sattva, rajas, tamas. These are engaging in whatever they have to do. This will also come in the next verse. They're engaging in whatever they have to do. So let them do it. But when we come in here and put the stamp, that's it. That's bondage right there. That's bondage right there. I am infinite, and then I want to be the mind. I am infinite, and then I want to be this body. I'm infinite, and then I want to be this personality. That's called bondage. We're leading ourselves to bondage. So this is how a person gets stuck into action. And as I said, in the beginning, this is okay. In the beginning, because, if somebody is in tamas, if tamasic state, we have to say, do action, do your best, make the best out of yourself, be the best version out of yourself, go to such heights and soar and do great, wonderful things. This is the upadesha for them, the teaching for them, because they're at that state. But as one goes deeper, then the teaching is now slowly move beyond this. So now we have seen how a person who is attached to action, how they engage with the notion of I am the doer. How does a wise person act? So now this is a contrast, okay? So let's see now verse 28. Tattvavittu mahabaho.
Tattvavittu mahabaho.
Gunakarma vibhagayoho.
Gunakarma vibhagayoho.
Guna gudeshu vartante.
Guna guneshu vartante.
Iti matva na sajjate.
Iti matva na sajjate.
Tattvavittu mahabaho. Gunakarma vibhagayoho. Guna gudeshu vartante. Iti matva na sajjate. So here, vartante, it has when you pause, you add the E. But when you say it together, you don't add the E because there's a sandhi there. Tu, on the other hand, tu, tattvavit, the knower of truth, mahabaho, oh mighty armed Arjuna, gunakarma vibhagayoho, that knower of truth. What does the knower of truth know? The divisions or the distinctions of karma and guna. Guna means these, again, upadis, these conditionings, and the karma and their respective functions. The one who knows the distinctions of these conditionings and their functions, guna guneshu vartante, iti matva, having known that all it is these different conditionings engaging in their functions. That's all they're doing. Iti matva na sajjate. Therefore, they are not attached. They're not attached. So, but he who knows the truth, O mighty armed, about the divisions of the qualities and their functions, and he who knows that gunas as senses move amidst gunas as objects is not attached. So the guna guneshu has two meanings. So we will see those two meanings, okay? So here, first it says tattvavit. Now we've entered Sankhya Yoga. So the verse before this, Karma Yoga. One is in the realm of Karma Yoga, trying to get rid of that doership, because that doership is still there. And mind you, we can still have a Karma Yoga action, but be still a little bit selfish at heart. That also happens. We're in a selfless cause, but we still have some selfishness in there. That also happens. So the one engaged in karma or karma yoga is trying to work on this, because this is not an easy thing to do. Karma yoga is actually pretty tough. It's actually pretty tough. It's not easy. This is someone who's come to Sankhya. That's why there's a tu, tattvavit. This tattvavit, the knower of truth of what? Of the distinctions between guna, as I said here, the distinctions of the conditionings and their functions, their karma. So the knower of truth knows, okay, this is the body, this is what the body does. The mind feels, the intellect thinks, the eyes see, the ears hear. Why would I say I am seeing, I am hearing, I am smelling? Or even if I say it, why would I think that? In the light of consciousness, everything is happening, everything is flowing, everything is going. So why would I get so stuck up in it? Guna guneshu vartante iti matva. Matva, having known that they are just operating in their functions. So here, guna guneshu vartante, one meaning is this. The gunas, the body, the mind, and the intellect are just engaging in their respective gunas or functions. The body is engaging in perceiving objects. The mind is engaging in emotions. Intellect is engaging in thoughts. They're just doing what they have to do. Guna guneshu, oh, not yet there. Guna guneshu vartante. They're just engaging in their respective fields. Why guna guneshu? Why do you use this word guna guneshu? Guna, the first guna, I already explained to you that these conditionings, body, mind, intellect, are made up of sattva, rajas, tamas, right? We've seen that in previous Vedanta texts. But these are also gunas. These are also gunas. How do you mean? Because remember, the gunas, how does the whole world come about? If we look at, let's say, Taittiriya Upanishad, it comes from Brahman, then from Brahman, Maya, then from Maya, the 5 elements: space, air, fire, water, earth. Correct? So everything around us is the 5 elements. Our body is the 5 elements. Mind, 5 elements. Thoughts, 5 elements. All the objects are 5 elements. Everything is space, air, fire, water, earth. Everything is really just the 5 elements. Everything is the Pancha Mahabhutas. So these are also Maya. This is also part of Maya. This is also part of Maya. This is also part of Maya. These are also made of the gunas, sattva, rajas, tamas. These are also made of the gunas, sattva, rajas, tamas. So the gunas are engaging in the gunas. That's all they're doing all day long. The gunas are engaging in the gunas. The gunas are engaging in the gunas. The gunas are engaging in the gunas. So one meaning we say is is that the body is doing whatever its respective function is. Mind is doing its respective function, and intellect as well. And also that the second meaning is that these conditionings are just engaging in the world which is composed of all of the gunas. They're just doing what they have to do. They're seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting. They're engaging in this world. So guna guneshu vartante. They're just doing what they have to do. So iti matvana sajjate, knowing this, knowing that that's what their dharma is, now why get caught up in it? Why get, I know the body of the dharma is decay. I know that. So why get caught up in it and say, I'm decaying? The dharma of the body is to decay. I know the dharma of the mind is to move up and down. Sankalpa vikalpatmaka. Yes, there are times where it can be very, very focused and quiet, but I know that's not possible all the time. It's got to go up and down. But why get caught up in it? That's its dharma. So all of these things are just doing what they need to do. Iti matva na sajjate. Knowing this, I don't get affected. So this is what the tattvavit feels. Okay, there's a question here. And then I will show you a few examples so you can see the stark difference. And there's one very beautiful point here also that I will make. If I am a person who is able to understand the BMI functions, understand it as per the gunas, able to be detached from the BMI, but have not realized consciousness, who is this I? That I is the ego. That I is the ego. But what ego? The sattvic ego. Because that I is still in the realm of identification. It may not be so attached. So let us come back to this. What happens with a seeker? This is what happens with a seeker. We understand that the body does its thing, mind does its thing, intellect does its thing. We understand. And to some extent, we're detached from it. But that identification is still there. There's still some identification. So I am still the ego. I am still the ego. But no doubt I'm not the strong Rajasic ego. I'm a very thinned out sattvic ego, but I'm an ego. So I know that I'm getting better. And this is what happens in Vedanta. A sattvic ego is developed because of spiritual practices and everything. A sattvic ego is developed. So the knower will always be the ego. The knower will always be an ego. But this knowledge as it is Atman. This is what we have to come to. So even the one who knows has to surrender themselves into knowledge. In Saddarshana, Bhagavan Ramana Maharshiji says very, very beautifully, make your ego, ahankara, a food for Atma. Make it a food for Atma. That's how the surrender should be. So that's the next step. And then, there will be some, but now I will just show you a few examples so you can see the difference. Now, before I go to those examples, I want to bring your attention to these words. In verse number 27, you're going to see this word manyate. Manyate means thinks. In verse 28, you're going to see this word matva, means knowing or having known. They come from the same root man, which means to think. What does this mean? This means the problem is only a thought. The problem is only a notion. That's the problem. There's no other problem. So let us see here. We won't go to this slide. We'll go to the next one. Okay, here. Right. Because the other one, I think, will require a little bit more, but we go to this one. What does Vedanta tell us? So now we all know this example. We all know this example. This is the movie screen and the movie. The movie screen is always unaffected by the movie that plays on it. So it could be a sad movie, happy movie, jolly movie, funny movie, whatever it is, nothing's happening to the screen. Screen is unaffected. So in Vedanta, the one who has knowledge says, I am the screen. I am the screen and I am not the movie. But the one who doesn't have knowledge says, I am the movie. So I am the one going through all of this. So, when we watch a movie and we get too caught up, we also feel those same emotions and think those same thoughts. And we also want to punch that person who's doing lots of chaos on screen, right? So what is this? It's a shift. It's just a shift. Manyate, matva. The one who knows, I put there, this is me, just so that we can see, but the one who knows is silent. Because the knower is gone. The one who knows is silent. I put there just for us to understand the silence. So the one who knows, this is me. And then you are free. The one who doesn't know, this is me. So it's just a shift. Now, what happens to a seeker? Well, sometimes this is me, and then sometimes this is me. Correct? That's what happens, right? That means that knowledge is not firm yet. If there's such shifts that sometimes I'm feeling this and then sometimes I'm feeling this, it means that knowledge is not firm yet. Firm knowledge means it stays here. That's what Drida Aparoksha Jnana is. Stays here. This is Sankhya. Okay? This one, the one who does this and that's the next example. The one who does this and this, that is in between Karma and Sankhya, making their way. Now, this is me can also be a happy picture. It doesn't only need to be sad, it can be a happy. But identifying with a happy picture, that's also bondage. Remember, that's also bondage. Because that's limited. At some time, the happiness will also go. Or then again, one will feel sad. So even identifying with the happy moments, that's also bondage. That's bondage. One more example we will see. This is now a theater play. So for the wise person, the stage is me, in the sense that so many people come and go on stage. So many people have different acts to play, roles to play. So many stories are going on, but I remain the substratum of it all. I remain the substratum of it all. I am that one unmoving, unshakable substratum upon which the play or drama of life goes on. This is me. Again, it's silent, but just so that we understand. This is me. But the one who identifies now, what happens? Gets into this whole drama. I'm the one getting hurt. I'm the one pulling. I was cheated. I am, I don't know what to do. This is too crazy. All of these things will happen. So you can see it's just a shift in the notion. It's that just knowing it. That's it. It's a shift. Shift. That shift is called knowledge. That shift is called knowledge. Now, for that shift to happen, that takes a lot of karma yoga purity. That's all that has to happen. Just that one shift. Nothing more than that. But that takes a lot of purity of mind. And that is why we say we engage in karma yoga, we engage in bhakti yoga, we engage in ashtanga yoga. And whenever we're ready, surely that shift will happen. It's just a matter of time. All right. So what did we see today? We just saw that the wise person, Sri Krishna's advice is not to shake them up, not to shake anybody up. Meet them at their level. We should not push or force anybody to rise or force anybody to take in such deep, deep thoughts. Why? Because the path of karma and the path of jnana are starkly different. You can see one has doership, one doesn't have doership. So you cannot just jump from one to the other overnight. It's a gradual process. So inspire everyone and let everybody unfold as they need to. Okay? Say the closing prayer. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Today's class was very important. So please contemplate on it, reflect on it. And if we can understand this, that would be very, very wonderful. I'll pause now in case there are any questions.